There exists within the planet Earth a fantastic lost world. In this inner world, elite warriors ride huge spiders and bravely fight against evil. When the wicked rise, the word goes out, calling all spider riders.
Spider rider, we do. If you true, then you could be too. It's cool, you can join our team, no matter how dark it seems.
Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about a nation I'm going to be playing in an upcoming Middle Age game, and that is the nation of Machaka. Now, Machaka is a bit of a fan favorite in the Dominions community, not because it's particularly good. It's actually probably one of the worst nations in the game, definitely one of the worst nations in the Middle Age. But it's just a very interesting nation. It's got a lot of cool things going for it, a lot of kind of interesting gimmicks, and it has big spiders too. So everybody loves big spiders and spider riders. So even though they're not that great and they're really overpriced, they always attract a lot of attention. So we're going to talk about this nation. Let's go in here and take a look at this one first. So Middle Age. Oops. Here we go. And let's take a quick look at the nation. So I'll talk a little bit about what is interesting about Machaka and what are the downsides, because there are a lot of downsides about this nation. So you can see here, this is a kind of African-themed nation, though the theming of this is not really that clear compared to early age Machaka, which is very coherent, and also a much stronger nation in general. This one just kind of a generic spider theme and witch doctors, things like that. But beyond that, not too clear. However, it is very cool. They got a lot of interesting things going for them. I'll talk about the things I like about the nation first. So, of course, you have big spiders. These are really cool. And these black hunters are your main, or your only sacred, capital only. And they're okay. They're basically like heavy cavalry. They're quite strong. They have a lot of attacks, a lance charge, a web, and the fangs, the poison fangs. And the rider is quite well protected as well, so he won't just drop dead very quickly. And they also have a long spear, so you can do something funny like repel bless with them. And I've done that before, and I'll show a strategy with that as well later, as well as some other ideas. But they do have a lot of downsides too. For one, you can see how expensive they are. A lot of gold, a lot of resources, recruitment points. This is like the similar price you'd be paying for maybe an Anakite or a Zedaean in late age. And this is definitely not comparable to those. This is much weaker than those, but you're still paying a huge premium. One benefit of these is, at least if the rider dies, you can round up the spiders and bring them back to the capital to get a new rider for them. But that adds a little bit of extra micromanagement, which is a little bit annoying, but still that's an option if you ever have the riders die. The spider itself is pretty bulky, so he should be able to outlast the rider pretty easily and become a bit of a monster if you bless yourself well. Now, a few other interesting things about them. They have a few interesting units here we'll talk about, but I just wanted to talk about specifically the Black Hunter, because I know a lot of people who maybe write a guide about Machaka or talk about this nation. A lot of them say ignore the Black Hunter, ignore your sacreds, don't even take a bless. And while that is a strategy you can follow, I really don't like to do it just because, look at this thing. It's really cool. It's a big, giant tarantula and a little guy riding it. How could you not use that, So I always like to do something to make the Black Hunters at least useful and do something with them. Even if it's maybe not the optimal strategy, I really, why else would you even play Machaka then? Go play like something else if you don't want to use spiders. However, that being said, I will mention some other strategies. So some strategies will focus more on high production, high income, good scales, and really focus more on the Spider Knights rather than the Black Hunters. Now, these are not sacred, but these are a good unit too. These are kind of equivalent to a little bit lighter cavalry, or not light cavalry, but maybe medium cavalry, or kind of light heavy, I guess. I don't know how you would compare them. But they do also have a lot of attacks. They got a long spear, they have webs and fangs, so all of these things are quite good as well. And these hold up pretty well. You can easily expand with these. And if you want to go with a scales kind of build, you can recruit these Spider Knights in pretty massive numbers and still do quite well. Another part of a more scales-focused strategy would be the Hoplite. These are also quite good. They're pretty heavy armor. They got a long spear. They have formation fighter, so you can put these in a group and make just a big shield wall to protect your mages while they shoot Banefire or something. And a few other things here. Also talk about, you have these 4 generic units. I don't think any of these are special. I don't think I ever recruit any of these. Maybe if I just need some filler chaff, but I don't know. These all suck, pretty much. If you ever fight the Lion Tribe in the game, these are all the same as those, so they all are terrible. This guy, the Spider Archer, you can recruit in your capital and also in any forest, so you really want to get forests as Machaka, because these guys are pretty great. You can stick a bunch of these guys in behind your line and just shoot a bunch of poison at the enemy and really cause trouble. So this is really nice, especially early game before poison resistance is really a thing. So this is nice to have as well. Probably late game, you're going to want to switch over to the pygmies. Once you have more buffs and more things available to you, maybe like flaming arrows, these pygmies are really going to do you well. They're super, super cheap little short bows. You can have tons and tons of these guys and just have them fire off all kinds of stuff, with, strength of giants and flaming arrows and a bunch of other things. These guys can actually be quite good in the mid to late game. So that's the units here. Not too much special. There's also the generic Spider Rider. This guy's nothing special, just a cheap spider. The big benefit of this guy is the rider will die pretty quickly, so you'll have a big spider to run around, and that's nice. And also this Spider Warrior, who's really good, heavy armor, dual-wielding fighter. But the purpose of this guy is more to accompany the Bane Spider Commander, who is a stealthy assassin commander. And you can pair him up with maybe a handful of these Spider Warriors and make almost like a little raiding party to sneak around and take provinces from your enemies. So this is a kind of cool option you have, this Bane Spider and the Spider Warriors. As I said, the Bane Spider has leadership 10, so he can lead around a few guys and, raid a little bit. Almost like, not really budget elf, but you do have some elfing options as Machaka. So let's take a look at the commanders. You've got these 4 generic commanders, Spider Commander, Walking Commander, and these 2 Scout and Generic guy. So these are not very special, but let's take a look at your mages. First of all, one thing you'll notice as Machaka is that all your mages are not sacred. And that is a problem because, for one, you're going to be paying the upkeep for all of these guys. You're going to be wanting to recruit a lot of mages because you really need the research as Machaka. Machaka really lives and dies by its research, so you want to get Magic 3, and you want to get a lot of research going. So the good thing about that is you do have good researchers. This Sorceress is a really, really great researcher. 11 research, 85 gold, and, not that great paths. You can cast Banefire and things like that, but really she's most useful as a researcher, a cheap, really, really, really efficient researcher. You can recruit tons of these in your capital and just have tons of research like that. And she also summons giant spiders, so this is nice. If you have a bunch of these girls researching, you can also get some free spiders per turn, which is nice too. So that's a good option as well. The Sorcerer is probably the mage you're going to be running to recruit the most. He's got okay paths. He can go Fire 2, Death 2, Nature 3, or Earth 1. So really, any of the ones that give you 2, 2, or 3 are good. If you get the one that's 1 Fire, 1 Death, 1 Earth, 2 Nature, that's kind of a shame for you, but at least maybe he can Sight Search or something, I don't know. But really, really, you want some higher paths. Another thing you might notice about Machaka is all these mages have really low paths. You have a pretty wide spread between Nature, Fire, Earth, and Death, but all of your mages struggle to get above 3 in anything. Even this guy, your big cap-only mage, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paths, but none of them over 3. You might get 3 Fire, 3 Earth, 2 Death, or 1 Nature, and maybe a 10% chance for another one of these. But really, really struggle to get above 3 in anything as Machaka, and that's also a big problem. That's okay for casting in battles. Most of the battle spells you're going to be using are, 3 or less paths, so Machaka is good for doing evocations and some battlefield summons and things like that, but you're going to struggle to do a lot of other things with your units here. That being said, I'll talk about some ways to deal with that a little bit. And the last mage we'll look at is the Witch Doctor. Not much to say about him. He's cheap too. He's recruit anywhere. He's an inept researcher, but his research is actually okay. So if you just want cheap researchers in your non-capital provinces, this guy's a good option. he can't really do much. 1 fire, 1 death, 1 earth, 1 nature. Not that great. I mean, I guess he can cast Swarm, he can do Bane Fire Bolts and things like that. So he could be a useful little guy kind of supporting your armies. But beyond that, there's not a lot he can do. Not much useful he can do, at least. But, he's an okay researcher, and he can do something, so that's not too bad. Beyond these mages, you also have the Sacred Commander. Not much to say about this guy. I don't know if you could really thug with him. Maybe you could. I've never really tried it, but who knows? I don't know. You also have the Bane Spider I mentioned before. He's an assassin. He can climb walls. He has dual wielding, and he comes with 2 Bane Blades, a Bane Blade and a Bane Dagger. So he's actually quite good, almost as a little out-of-the-box thug and raider, at least. Maybe not a thug, but at least a raider. The main problem with him is his armor is so heavy. He's got a lot of encumbrance. So really, if you want this guy to be really effective, you should swap out this heavy armor for something a little bit lighter. That'll make him move faster and actually be able to assassinate the mages he's going to assassinate rather than get zapped before he can even get close to them. So beyond these mages and these guys here, you also have 3 national priests. And these guys are pretty interesting as well. You have this guy who's your biggest priest, Priest 2, or Holy 2. Not much special about him besides that, just he's a Holy 2 recruitable, and that's it. This is nice, I guess, if you want to lead a bigger army. He's got good leadership. He can do, Sermon of Courage and things like that, so that's okay as well. This guy I quite like. I used this guy as my main recruitable sacred leader. He's only 40 leadership, but, he's got 1 holy level. He's a patrol bonus, tax collector, so he could be quite useful as well. And you can do a few things with them. He's also got this flail, which is quite nice. I don't know if you could actually thug any of these guys. This guy's definitely got the highest skills, strength, attack, skill, defense. So maybe you could do something, go raiding with this guy, but I've never tried it. And the last guy's the Ear of the Lord. So this guy's pretty interesting. He's a holy spy, sneaky spy. So this is nice having a recruitable spy. It'll give you a lot of map awareness. And I also mentioned a strategy I'd like to talk about with this guy as well. You can maybe turn this guy into a little bit of a raider with the correct paths. The main thing being, if you take some kind of undead leadership bless, this guy will get a little bit of undead leadership. You can pair him up with some stealthy undead, like some ghosts or some shades, and almost turn him into a little stealthy raider. Especially with this spy ability, it'll let him get more information about the provinces he's in, so you'll be able to find the very vulnerable provinces with only maybe 1 or 2 province defense and pop them with your ghosts. So this guy could actually become a little bit of a raider as well. Stealthy, very stealthy, and spying raider. So this is a cool option as well, and the other guys are okay. So beyond that, let's move on. We'll take a look at some god ideas. So for one god idea, this one is pretty generic. I go with the Great Sorcerer because he's really, really cheap. I'm going to take 6 fire, 4 death, and 4 blood to get attack skill 2, undying 3, plus 1 undead command, as I mentioned, just to give my priests some ability to lead some undead around, especially this guy, as I said. And then with the blood, I'm going to go for a blood surge. So this is a pretty decent bless. I played around with this already, and it was quite acceptable. I'm going to go dormant with him as well. Let's do 5, maybe 2 there. Something like that could be good. So with Machaka, as I said, you really want to go Magic 3. I tend to like good production as well. You have a lot of units that need some production. For Order Turmoil, I don't really need Order, but I want to avoid Turmoil. So at least neutral Order, I think, is okay. Growth, I mean, you could go Growth. I want a little bit just for the long-term benefits, but I think it's something I can cut down a little bit in the case of Machaka. And for Misfortune, there's nothing really, you don't really get that many good heroes, so I guess I can go Misfortune 2. And Heat doesn't matter. You're already Heat 2 natively, so going Heat 3 is basically a free point. I do have 2 extra points, so I'm also going to put a point in Nature and a point in Earth. Earth mostly for crafting and for summoning Demon Knights. Once this guy wakes up, I can get him to start blood hunting and summon some Demon Knights to support my army. And the Nature for using the, for crafting the armor of the Armor of Twisting Thorns for getting another blood and nature booster. So that'll be nice for all my nature mages out there and for this guy to boost his blood. So those give me a lot of good options, this kind of path spread. It gives a bless that is pretty good for my spiders, gives them some repel, gives them a little bit of bonus and even more repel, and some undying to give them a little bit of staying power on the battlefield. And dormant means he'll wake up early enough that he can start blood hunting and be useful, or, do whatever else he needs to do. So this could be a good god option, and this is something I've used before, something similar to this I've used before, but this is pretty decent. I think this works well for Machaka, and it also gives you a long-term strategy with blood and death. This combo is quite nice, and getting a little bit of a blood economy going will help you out in the later game. But there's also some other ideas we can try. You can always do something really generic like a big monster. This guy's pretty good. The Divine or Golden Lion could be okay. Or I guess the really classic option is the Myrmecoleon. You can go fire or something. I don't know, maybe go attack skill as well. Like that. Maybe go hard skin. This could be okay. So this guy will really tear things up a lot, and you can still have some good scales, get the points up a little bit more. Maybe we can take an extra point of growth. Yeah, that could be worth it. And I can even... I guess I can't really do much else. So this could be something as well. I tend to not... I do use monsters sometimes, but I find them a little bit boring. You don't get to do much with them. And definitely this Bless will help you expand. But to be honest, I think Machaka doesn't really have that much of a problem expanding. So I don't know if I really want this. I guess it would give you a big boost. But the real big issue with Machaka is their mid to late game. They don't have a lot of ways to progress beyond their early game abilities. They have a lot of things that they can help them in the early game. They have a lot of ways to defend themselves and make them really a pain in the ass to conquer. But they don't have much to push them past that and get into the late game successfully. They kind of stall and tend to die off pretty easily by mid to late game. So I tend to not like monsters with Machaka. I mean, you could use them, but I don't really like it that much. Something pretty funny I tried earlier was using this Divine Glyph. Now, I don't know how useful this is, but I took something like Fate Weaving and then Heat Aura. So this was the only bless I did. I took him Awake, and I guess I have to get rid of one of those. So basically, I think these same scales or something similar to this. Yeah, maybe like that. I took these scales and Heat Aura Fate Weaving. I'll show this game now where I was testing this out. I have no idea if this works. I just thought it was pretty funny. It seems like it actually works fairly well. I've not lost that many spiders trying this. And I don't really know what this would do for you in the late game. I guess you have Astral. That could do something, but I feel like with Astral, you kind of want some other options available to do something with it, rather than just have Astral by itself. Maybe if I had Astral Earth, I can craft some boosters or make golems or something, so that could be a late game strategy. With just Astral, maybe I could take like a little bit less here. I can go like 1 Earth, maybe. I don't know. Maybe something like that. But either way, that's not what I did. I went something like this and tried this one. So we'll take a look at this game like this and talk about that idea a bit. So let's join my test game here. Here we had a battle here against a few barbarians. I like throwing a big army at a barbarian just to see how they do, because they're kind of like a typical problem indie. So let's see. You can see the Black Hunters killed a lot of them. Black Hunters do quite well, to be honest, in combat, especially with a nice Bless. And this, as I said, is with the Heat Bless and the Fate Weaving Bless. So this is pretty meme tier. I don't know how good this is. I just thought it'd be really funny. In a real game, I may try this if it's kind of interesting, or I may go with the more generic one I mentioned before with the Repel Focus Bless with a little bit of the Death as well, because that one gives a good late game plan. This one, I don't really know what I would do in the late game. I'd have to think of something, but it is pretty funny, so who knows. You can see these spiders absolutely tear up the barbarians. They all die very quickly, so not bad. We can do a few more turns here to see how it goes. I'm going to throw this big army at some of these walls. Maybe we'll go meet with the Abyssians down here. So I'm kind of stuck behind this river. I think I'm going to bring this army around if I can. I have to loop all the way around here. I'd like to try to fight these Abyssians and see how they do. Now, maybe my Heat Aura will not do too well against them. Maybe I'll just attack this for now. And I'll make a new army, some more spiders. Let's get another commander out there. Like I said, I usually use Eye of the Lord, but I think I'm going to go for an Ear of the Lord. Just for the bigger army bonus. Let's try that here. So here's the Divine Basketball. 7 Astral, 5 Fire, and a lot of other things going from here. And you can see I have some researchers up. Let's go to the next turn, see how things go. Alright, battle here. Again, cleaned up a lot. Let's take a look at that. So I don't really know what to say. To be honest, Fate Weaving is a bless that I don't really understand that much. I don't really know what it does. If you, let's find one of them, really. Fate Weaving, it just says they get misfortune for a few rounds of battle. I don't really know exactly what that does. I do know that it basically, I don't know, it makes your units last better. So I can't really comment on it. It's very vague. A lot of these things in Dominions are really, really vague in how they actually work. Oh, it's frozen here, so I can cross over. That's good. But yeah, like I said, I don't understand it too much. But, you know, it seems like it's working, so that's good enough for me. Let's just keep trying a few rounds. I might try to throw myself at this wall of Abyssians and see how it goes. I'm going to put another army together with this guy. Let's get a few spiders. I like to get some Black Hunters and these cheap Spider Riders in. You can throw a bunch of these guys in. They'll just run in, mostly die. But you can pair them up with some of these kind of free spawn spiders as well. And get them in there. So let's set this guy to hold. He's going to cast some blessings on them. And then Sermon of Courage. These guys will just run in. And these guys will just do whatever. So I'm going to put these guys back a little bit. These guys are not that fast. So hopefully by the time these guys start moving, the other two groups of spiders will move in as well. And let's send them in. I also saw that one of my researches just popped. I think I have Evocation 4. Yeah, so that should give me... Let's get... What should I get next? I guess Alteration or something. I want to get like Stone Skin and some of these other blesses for the mages as well to boost them up. Or maybe Thaumaturgy. I don't know. This is kind of like a test game, so I'm not really thinking too much. I definitely want gems, so maybe I will go Thaumaturgy a little bit so I can do some of the search spells like Augury and Harspex. So maybe go up to Tharm 3. Machaka really, really wants gems. A lot of things you want to get. Construction. Oh, that's another thing. Construction 4. You want to get to Construction because a lot of your mages, again, they suffer from having low paths. So you want to build boosters, a lot of boosters. Earth Boots, Death Staff, or Skull Staff, things like that. Any kind of nature boosters or fire boosters, you want to get all of that if you can. These things really help you a lot, and you definitely need them as Machaka. You want to be making lots of boosters for everything. So consider going for Construction. As I said before, I also tried to get Evocation 4 very quickly. This is mostly for some of the spells like Banefire specifically. All of your mages can cast Banefire, and Banefire is quite good. So a bunch of these cheap little mages casting Banefire darts is very nice, especially if it comes pretty early in the game, before your opponent has lots and lots of mages available. This gives you a lot of other things. You get a lot of these little spells like Fireball and stuff, which many of your mages can cast. I think you want some Evocation as Machaka. Conjuration as well. I wanted to go to Conj 3. This is mostly to get Dark Knowledge so I could search for Death Gems. And also get some of these death summons as well, like get the Bane, summon a Bane, or summon the Shade, so I can do some sneaky stuff. And like I said, Construction 4 as well. So let's send this army in. I'll actually have them go with one of these mages, and she could cast Banefire. We'll try that out. You know what, let's just send 2 of them in, why not? Just for fun. So let's put them a little bit further up. And these both can just cast Banefire. So maybe they could do... Oh, I have Magnum Bolts. That's another thing a lot of your mages can do, Magma Bolt, so you can be kind of a Magma Bolt spammer. But Banefire is more fun, so let's have them both do Skeletal Body, and then just Banefire. Machaka is basically Banefire the Nation, or at least you would be if Hinnom didn't exist, but aside from Hinnom, you're basically Banefire the Nation. So this is kind of like your national spell, Banefire Dart, so you might as well use it. Let's send this group in, and who's the other one? Shiaba, okay. Let's send them in to massacre these fishmen, and then we can bother Abyssia as well. So let's see how it goes. We'll do a couple more turns, and then I think I'll end this test game here. Alright, here, sorceresses. Let's take a look at that. Did quite well. Again, the Black Hunters seem to be doing really well with this kind of blast, so maybe I will try this in the game. This is kind of a funny setup, but again, I just don't really know what to do with it, honestly. Late game, I'm not sure what I'll be doing with Astral and Fire. Maybe you could do something interesting with it. I need to think of a late game strategy with that, because definitely that by itself is not going to cut it. Alright, so you see they tore it up pretty well. The other battle, this is with some Atlanteans. Again, Black Hunters really tear them apart. So this has been going great. Jeez, these Black Hunters are great. This is better than the other demo game I played where I lose like half the Black Hunters. And that was with the Repel Focus Bless. This seems like they're really doing a great job, so maybe I will try this. This is not any worse scales-wise either. Oh, looks like they attacked here. Oh, nice. So we did get a pretty good battle with Abyssia. You can see 25 dead, and one of the spider riders died, but the spider itself is okay. Let's see how this goes. So here's the Abyssians. What do they have here? They're just generic infantry guys. So these guys are fire resistant and have heat, so they're not going to be affected by my heat aura. But let's see anyways, they will be affected by the heat weaving, or the fate weaving, whatever that does. Yeah, so it looks good. You know what, maybe this does work pretty well. I was just thinking that the reason I thought about the heat aura and fate weaving bless is because you can see the Black Hunters, they spit these webs out and ensnare the prey. So this actually holds them in place while the spiders rip them apart with their 5 or 6 attacks, or 4 attacks. So while you're attacking 3 times per turn and they're wrapped up in the web, you're hitting them 3 times, and then you're also having the heat aura and the fate weaving, which it seems like it works really well. So maybe I will go with this. This is actually really great. Let's do one last turn, see how it goes. I wonder if we can find a big army to throw these guys at. Looks like there's nothing left. Let's try this last one of the Horse Tribe, though it looks like they won't be able to do much about it. Attack Abyssia here. And then I think we'll end this game for now. Let's get some more sorceresses. Alright, battle here. Great. I did lose 2 Black Hunters, but, you know, looks like they did okay. You can see how that goes here. Versus some horsemen. Horse Tribe's another kind of problematic nation a little bit. How does that go? And wow, Black Hunters really ripped them apart. Again, these webs, they seem to be helping a lot. The fate weaving plus the heat and the web, the inbuilt web shot, seems to be working like great, honestly. So, I don't know, maybe I will have to go with this. This seems really nice. Last one, this went pretty well as well. Yeah, it looks like there was nothing here anyways. Alright, so I think that's been pretty good. I think Abyssia may be kind of fucked at the moment. But I think I will end the game here. You can see this is actually going quite well. This is going way better than I expected. So maybe I will go with this kind of bless. This was something kind of meme tier that I thought about would be funny. Actually, I thought this looked like a basketball, so that's why I wanted to make it as a god. But actually, this is working really well, so maybe I will try it out in a game. Because I've already done the kind of Buddha bless with the repel bless and the death before, so maybe this could be an interesting option as well. Either way, guys, I'm going to end the video here, and I will update some more information when the game does start with my choice of build for MA Machaka. But either way, consider this nation. It is definitely a weak nation, but you know, it's a fun one. And isn't that the whole point of playing these games, to have fun anyways? So either way, let's end here. Goodbye, guys.